And then you get these dashboards that for these customers to use. This is another interesting company, actually. It's called Deconstruction.com. They're a young startup. Apparently, in the construction industry, one of the biggest problems has always been that, first of all, there's a lot of generating of noise and things like that, lots of environmental impact. And on the other hand, there's always things being done at the wrong moment, like concrete is being poured at the wrong humidity level or at the wrong moment of the day. And there was never any good legal tracking or any tracking mechanism at all. So these guys have built these small sensors, which you put 50 or 100 around your building site, and suddenly, in real time, you have a view of exactly what the environmental conditions at the building site are and what activities are going on. It's not only important in real time to be able to drive those activities, apparently it's also really important from a legal perspective to have afterwards a sort of an audit trail in what things happened at your building site. Another area that is, I think, totally exploding at the moment is that of city lighting. So Philips has a large division that deals with city lighting. Most cities are actually going to LED lighting. And each of those lamps there actually has not just an LED lamp in it, it also has a chip in it that records and controls the lamp and has a cell connection. And so as such, people from a centralized position can actually exactly control the brightness of the lamps, but also the color and the warmth of the lamp. So if there are particular areas, for example, in an area where there's lots of bars, it turns out that changing the color of the lamps at night actually allows you to change the mood and behavior of the people on the street. Or even if you know there's a party going on, a block party in a particular area of town, you can actually have a lighted path going from there to the train station and things like that. Next to actually just analyzing data and driving, for example, energy efficiency. But there's lots of cool things that can happen if suddenly all of these devices that used to be very dumb devices are suddenly intelligent and data connected by itself. One of the areas that I'm less enthusiastic about, but which seems to be a really, really big deal, is the use of actually connected data in sports. And of course, this is fine. This is sort of analytics or second screen technology that goes while you are watching a game. And this is actually a Dutch company, Infostrada, that makes these technologies available for other people to use. And it all started, of course, in the world of Moneyball. And now everybody knows it because Brad Pitt played in that movie. But actually, Moneyball was one of the more important business books to be written about how to use analytics to actually drive the right business strategy. And there's a whole conference going on around sports analytics. And it is all about that it's determined already on forehand, before the game starts, what the strategy is that the individual players will need to take. Yeah, if we know that LeBron is really bad at shooting from the three-point line on the left side, you might as well even have to defend him. Or a typical strategy in baseball is, for example, if a shot is being taken at the rim, what do? Do you actually play for the rebound, or do you actually move fast back into a defensive position? These decisions are no longer being made on the field. They're being made based on data on forehand before the game even starts. Probably this is the most extreme example of this particular world. What researchers found out is that teams that are really working well together in sports have heart rates that go up and down in phases and in the same phases. All the players basically, their heartbeat accelerates at the same moment and actually decelerates at the same moment if the team is really in sync. If the team is not in sync, then you'll see that there will be one or two players whose heart rate decreases and increases at completely different moments. So what you see now is that this is a dashboard that coaches have in real time while their players are actually wearing heart rate monitors that are connected to the network. And they will look at these players, how their physics are in the field, and make decisions based on it. If your heart rate is not in sync with the rest of the team, you're out. Oh. Something happened here. So this is it's an example, not necessarily the connected data example. Apparently in ice hockey, the goal is to beat each other up. And preferable in a way that you get a concussion out of it. I don't know why people let their young kids play ice hockey, but it apparently is really fun. But if you want to protect your kids from actually getting a concussion, you can put one of these strips that you see up there on the top of their helmet. And at the end of a game, you take this strip and you put it in your laptop, and it will analyze the data on that strip about how hard your kid was hit during ice hockey, and then sort of calculates the likelihood that your kid actually is on its way to having a concussion. Maybe you shouldn't have to play ice hockey in the first place, but hey. Many of the areas where there's a connection, of course, between data, because generators of data, and the world of analytics, is that in location. And of course, Foursquare has been one of the well-known ones, one of the forerunners, but there was lots of cool stuff that actually happened around Foursquare. This is the Foursquare cooler. There's beer in this cooler, but you can only open the cooler if 3 of your friends check in at this place at the same time. Tata Motors is an interesting one. Just like General Electric earlier on, these guys are instrumenting. They have about 200,000 trucks that run around on the roads in India. And one of their biggest problems is trucks breaking down. And so they're instrumenting all of their trucks, not only with location information, but also with health information about the engines, as such that they can actually do preventive maintenance on these trucks and drive it down from I don't know what it is now, maybe 80 or 85% health to actually 95% health. That would actually massively increase the efficiency and the success of the company. And there's lots of other things that are doing all of this instrumentation with location-based. One Bus Away is an open source platform that allows, companies, public transport companies, to provide their customers with insight how far the bus is away from where they are. It's made by the University of Washington. It's freely available for anyone else. One of the users of this platform is actually the MTA in New York, where you can actually see how far buses are away. But of course, you guys here in Israel have an alternative to that. I think Move It is well known about taking sort of the same approach that Waze has taken for individual sort of driving directions. Move It gives you, by using social mechanisms that are on your phone, an indication about how far the bus is away, how busy it is in the bus, and lots of other information around this. And these are, I think, great examples of Israeli companies that have made tremendous innovations in this sort of crowdsourced traffic, public transport information. These are other examples. Strava Labs, I don't know if you know them, you can actually load things. Lots of folks are using Strava for competition, for running as well as bicycling and things like that. And based on the data that these guys are getting, they can actually provide cities with information about what are the most traveled bike paths in your city. Or in this case, what did I pick here? I think this is Paris. And so what you can see here is that along the Seine, there's lots of people running around the Seine. But if you look at the places where people are bicycling, it's very different. So there's lots of input that you get out of these environments. There's a company called Human. They built a health app on your phone. It's all about intended to make you move for at least 30 minutes a day. They are actually also able to actually generate lots of information that cities want, namely how frequently are which paths being used by which individuals. One drive in this whole world is the drive from let's say, after the fact analytics to real-time analytics. So we're no longer interested in what was happening yesterday. Yeah, okay, that might still be interesting. It's much more interesting what is happening right now. What is trending right now? What is the analytics? What is the efficiency of my environment right now? And most of these things. So you see a shift from analytics as sort of an ad hoc environment where you get reports to something that in real time drives and changes behavior. There's lots of that. We provide lots of technologies for you to actually build these kind of things. But this is a great project by by the guys, by a research group in Australia. They built a product called We Feel that basically in real time talks about, analyzes the sort of mood on the internet in particular countries or in particular locales based on the kind of tweets that are going out in real time. So you can see in real time how, let's say, the mood was changing when this goal was scored in the World Cup. You could see that in Ecuador, everybody became very enthusiastic, while the Italians immediately became totally depressed. And I wanted to make one point, sort of giving you a bit of an overview about what is all the cool stuff that is happening in this world. But we had this one example earlier on of this toothbrush, remember? And I said that I didn't really like that, that example. And there's many of these cases where, for example, with energy efficiency in your house, you have to pull out your cell phone to look at the graphs and see what it is. It's not really changing behavior. Because if I really need to look at my smartphone after I've brushed my teeth, I don't really think that's a sort of an approach that really works well. So I think there's lots of displays that are really being built at this moment that are way more effective. For example, we talked earlier on about how far is the bus away. So if you have this bus pole, these things are real examples, by the way. This is an ambient bus pole, and basically the light goes up from the bottom to the top, the closer by the bus is. So already from, 100 yards away, I can look at the bus stop and know whether I should run to the bus stop or whether I can go get an ice cream and slowly stroll over there. And I don't need to pull out my cell phone to look at how far is the bus away. The environment by itself will tell me what I can and what I should do. The same is like, this is sort of one of these things for energy efficiency. You know, in general, if we look at clocks, we only glance at clocks for milliseconds to get an idea what the time is. And also, you know, if you really want to change behavior in terms of energy usage, a clock is a great place to actually present you with that information. You only need to say how much green you are or how much red you are to actually change behavior. You don't need to pull out your cell phone with numbers and graphs to actually drive that change. And this is a real example of one of our customers actually in New Zealand. There's an energy company. Apparently, quite a few of their customers were not paying their bills on time and were being moved onto a pay-as-you-go approach. You had to prepay to be able to use the electricity. Even then, apparently, they were still not paying their bills on time, and they would be actually sitting watching television at night, and poof, the lights would go out because your top rate was wrong. So what they gave these customers a lamp that they could put in the kitchen, and this lamp will slowly start to glow red if you're running out of money. And it apparently is an extremely effective approach, because the numbers I heard was about 20% of their customers who still not top up on time. If they've been given this lamp, they all top up on time. And so finding different ways to engage with customers and drive behavior is very interesting. So I only had 20 minutes. If you guys come to the Amazon event tomorrow, I'll be giving a keynote at the end of today that will go in much more depth in these kind of stories. So it requires no limits. Cloud is actually something that enables both collecting and processing of this data. And if you guys ever need to reach me, that's me. Thank you.
Great.